Hi, boys and girls, mums and dads, and kids of all ages. This is a great podcast coming up with Norm Charbonneau, who has this fantastic three-rail O-gauge layout. Unfortunately, I forgot to mention Rapido Trains.
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
If it's L, if it's H-O, the fast track is Rapido.
Until the 40-minute mark. I'm an idiot.
Lionel, is that you?
There, I think I got it. Brad?
Yes, Lionel.
Kelly?
Yes, Lionel.
Check.
Check.
Check
It's for you.
Check. Hey, is this the first podcast since the last podcast?
Yeah, I guess it is.
Well,
That's why we're here.
Don't you have any kind of record or anything?
No, my records they get lost. The dog eats it. You know.
Okay. Can you help me out here, Brad?
As far as my records show, yes, it is the first podcast since the last podcast.
We got an interesting geographical panel tonight.
Oh yeah.
Because we've got somebody from Medford, Oregon.
Yep.
We've got somebody from the central Pennsylvania, downtown Oval, Pennsylvania.
The big crater.
Indeed, yes.
Downtown Crater, Pennsylvania. I got a question for you in a minute, Brad.
Okay.
Our guest is from Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm north of Toronto.
Yeah.
We are like encompassing a large swath of North America.
Spanning the globe to bring you the wide variety of model railroad gibberish.
Yeah.
That's good.
I was actually on Wide World of Sports twice.
Were you?
Yeah, first time you could see me for about 2 seconds in a crowd scene, and then the second time I was pretty much of a blur as a racing car was going by where I was standing.
Huh. Did you experience the thrill of victory or the agony of defeat?
No, I have in other things, but not in that particular situation.
Oh, okay.
You mean
All
agony of the feet?
The dragging of the feet, yeah. So tonight's guest, this is a full-blown, old-fashioned episode, because tonight's guest is somebody whose YouTube channel I stumbled across maybe a year and a half ago, and I went, oh my God, look at this guy's stuff.
Unbelievable, yeah.
And it's a three-rail O-gauge layout, but it isn't done in the... It's just fantastic. It's literally it's just a fantastic layout.
Mm.
And so I thought, I got to track this guy down, because it's a three-rail O-gauge, but it's like the Franklin in South Manchester.
Yes, definitely.
It's absolutely beautiful.
I was checking it out this afternoon. I agree. Spectacular stuff.
I was watching the pre-notes, and I saw the video, and I got on there, and I looked, wow, this is unbelievable. This is, John Allen or George Salos. And I'm going like, oh, and he's talking on the video, and he goes, it's three rail. I'm going, whoa. And I'm amazed. Totally amazed.
I had never seen a three-rail layout like this.
Yeah.
And so then I sent him an email about a year ago, and then we never got really connected. So then I sent him more emails about a year later, and finally we got connected. And he's our guest tonight. He's Norm of Norm's Trains. He told me his last name, but I don't remember it.
Well,
but that's really not important, because if you go to YouTube and you type in Norm's Trains, boom, you come to his page. There's over 18,000 subscribers. There's over like 100 videos, and they're all spectacular. It's just like jaw-dropping stuff.
Yeah.
So without further ado, Norm, come on into the studio.
Hey, guys, can you hear me?
We can.
Loud and clear.
Can,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for the kind words. I don't know where to send the checks, but thanks a lot. I'm flattered.
You were listening when you were in, you were listening when you were in the green room?
I could hear. Yeah, I could hear everything. What was I supposed to?
I think I accidentally left his studio door open a crack when I came in.
Okay. So you've had over 3 million views on your videos. What's your last name, Norm?
It's Charbonneau.
Charbonneau.
So, yeah.
Is that what's the ethnicity of that French? I'm guessing.
So, it was explained to me. I'm originally from Massachusetts, and before anybody asks, no, I'm never going back. But we are, basically French Canadian. Really, we came over from the Vendée region of France, I think, as disaffected royalists, I believe. Ended up in a lot of them ended up in France in Canada, and kind of trickled down into New England, and there's some Charbonneaus in like northern Michigan too, and kind of around. I keep getting asked if I have a cousin in Garden City, Michigan that I'm not related to. But
don't say that.
yeah.
Don't say that until you find out if he's rich or not.
Yeah. but yeah, that's how I ended up with that surname.
That's cool, eh? So are you a big Montreal Canadiens fan?
No, not really. I can't say I'm much of a sports fan, but I always get asked if I'm related to. There was a crazy Joe Charbonneau who was a Cleveland Indian, right? Who, and used to open beer bottles with his eyeball socket or whatever, And so I had to look him up one time to turn. I don't know if he's still with us, but he ended up as a used car lot owner dealer somewhere in the Cleveland area, but. When I lived in Erie, PA, and people asked me if I was related somehow. So, but
how did you end up in? How you're in the Crazy Joe? Now I'm looking for Crazy Joe Charbonneau. Now you got me wondering about Crazy Joe Charbonneau.
Yeah.
So where in Massachusetts were you from?
A city called New Bedford, Mass.
Okay. Yeah.
And apparently you didn't like it that much because you're never going back.
Oh, it's fine. I just, I haven't been back in a few years, but that's where I grew up.
Have you ever been to the Springfield train show?
No, I've never been there, but I did make it to Celios's layout about 3 years ago. It was the summer of 21, right? It would have been like the second year of the COVID deal, and I finally got to see his layout. I was in town, and I decided to make the trip up there, and it was awesome. That guy is really cool, and I finally got to see the Franklin and South Manchester there. It was really neat.
Well, your layout seems done in a kind of a very similar way. Did you kind of do it from the magazine articles and stuff like that? Oh
yeah, because as a kid in the 80s, that would have been the probably like the second most influential layout of the time, because I think when I was about 10 years old, I got a model railroader or was it Railroad Model Craftsman? Can't remember that kind of had the John Allen series of articles.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, it was a few years later where I think it was probably mid 80s that the Franklin and South Manchester started showing up in the mags, and so definitely an influence. And his style is actually, pretty correct for New England and the weather they have up there, because some people felt at the time it was overdone. And I'm like, it looks pretty correct for, the region that he's modeling, But definitely an influence. Those two guys, definitely.
Crazy Joe Charbonneau broke into the Major League Baseball on April 11th, 1980 with the Cleveland Indians.
Yeah.
There you go.
Does he spell his last name with one N or two?
One N.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're not related.
So you're two N's?
Two N's, yeah.
He's now in Belvedere, Illinois.
All right. Well, good for him.
Yeah. How'd you end up in Erie, Pennsylvania?
Just work. I think I got out of school. I was living in Pittsburgh at the time, and my wife which is my girlfriend at the time, got a job up in Erie, so I followed along up there, and I got a job, and then that job ended up, keeping me around for a couple of years in Erie, and then I ended up here in Michigan, working for the outfit I've been with now for about 24 years now. So I've been up here since 2000. And
can we ask you what you do for a living?
Yeah, sure. I'm a field service engineer for a company that does mechanical testing systems. So I install and train customers on the use of these systems. I repair, calibrate, reconfigure, go back, repair them again. I've been at it for quite a while. And we get into all kinds of stuff, everything from tabletop, like tensile testers, to full vehicle road load simulation and stuff like that. So pretty cool. Being up here in Detroit, it's obviously a lot of automotive related industry. So most of my customers do automotive testing. So pretty interesting. Yeah.
And so how do you feel like, again, for anybody that's interested, if you go to YouTube and just type in Norm Strains, then you're going to find his layout. So how do you feel like, how did you get into 3-rail O gauge?
Well, yes, innocently enough, my dad got me a Marks train set. My first train set in the 70s was a Marks Yardmaster set. That was 3-rail. And I think like a few years later, I got an actual Lionel 3-rail set. Would have been the Wabash Cannonball. And then went from there. And then there was a lot of series of disappointments back then, because if you remember, I don't know if you guys remember these sets, they made a lot of plastic DC powered sets that were pretty terrible. But I managed to stick with it, bought a lot of trains at flea markets and yard sales, and, always had some kind of a train layout into my teenage years. And then, put it all away. And actually, I kind of got back into it living in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. In the intervening years too, I also built a HO scale layout and an N scale layout that I enjoyed a lot. But when I was in Pittsburgh, I had my dad ship all my train collection back to me. I thought I was just going to sell it off, and I got looking at it, and I was like, yeah, this O gauge 3-rail stuff's pretty cool. And then I kind of discovered there was a lot of train shows around, and there are train stores, and it's kind of how I ended up back into 3-rail. I was almost going to build another N-scale layout and sell off all the 3-rail stuff, but I was like, this is pretty cool. And there was a lot of it around in the 90s, and there was a lot of shows. And then, as I moved around and stuff, I had some apartment layouts and things like that. And then what had happened was in the early 2000s, all of a sudden the 3-rail makers started producing a lot of scale stuff, like a lot of scale engines. So I was kind of like an eclectic toy train guy. I had a 5x10 layout, and I had some pretty wild stuff on there. And then I started picking up these scale pieces and started running those a lot more, and was really intrigued by what you could do in 3-rail, and then just kind of went from there.
So go ahead. I was going to ask that. So you could have gone with 2-rail O gauge, but you chose the 3-rail. Was it just because of the stuff that you had before?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I was already there, I guess, but
okay.
It was kind of good timing, I guess, because as a lot of 3-rail product kind of gravitated toward scale, I started getting into it too. And back in that era, late 90s into about maybe 2010, I would say it was almost a golden year of scale 3-rail stuff, because that's when Lionel and MTH and even 3rd Rail, they'd almost offer the same engine all within months of each other, And then you had Weaver, which was also a 2-rail O scale manufacturer, making a lot of good stuff. There was a lot of stuff going on. You had Atlas O, K-Line. There was a lot of, especially a lot of scale stuff got made during that time. So that's the stuff I'm always searching for now in my in these years now. I'm always going back and looking for stuff I missed during that era, because so much was made.
I just can't get over. So, but 3-rail O scale is a pretty robust community, isn't it?
Yeah, it's gone through a lot of changes over the years, but at one time it seemed like, especially that early 2000s, there was a lot of stuff made that you never thought you'd see, and now they're making quite a bit of stuff now, but we're kind of down to one main maker, which is Lionel, and 3rd Rail still making a lot of stuff, but doesn't seem to be at the level they were producing at one time. And MTH is kind of like they do a lot of special introduction type stuff. They sold off a lot of tooling to Lionel, so there isn't quite the variety we had at one time. But certainly.
Oh, sorry, Norm.
Oh, no, sorry. There's just like a lot of rehash. And in fact, a lot of the stuff they're making now was tooled in that era, that early 2000s era, and just updated with modern controls and paint schemes and stuff like that.
So, can you briefly describe how the pickup scheme works on three rail? I think I remember, but it's been a long time since I've run any of it. The electrical pickup.
Yeah, the classic system is the two outside rails are basically ground, okay. And the middle rail is power. So how that managed to hold on, I think, is just probably the power of nostalgia. And, again, the three rail market had the infrastructure in place, had a ready market of three rail track out there already. So these makers started to make more scale trains that could run on that kind of track. And then you had like Atlas O and Ross making a lot of, and Gargraves making more scale oriented three rail track, with wider curves and like number switches and stuff like that,
Yeah, that was the thing that kind of surprised me the most when I started looking at your videos, like the three rail O scale stuff that I was familiar with a kid was basically like toy trains. They weren't models, but man, your stuff is like dead on.
I know.
Beautiful scale model.
Yeah. There's quite a few other modelers in three rail scale out there too, and I definitely got some inspiration from them guys too.
Are there other YouTube channels that you look at that there's three rail O scale or?
Yeah, there's quite a bit. There's actually some younger guys on there too. There's like Jason's O gauge trains and Chris's trains and things, and those guys get into quite a bit of modeling and stuff,
Chris's O gauge trains, you said?
Yeah, I think Chris's trains and things is what he calls his. He posts quite a few videos too, and there's quite a few. And so yeah, I mean, three rail scale's been around a long time, and there was always the high rail movement too, where it was kind of a mix of semi scale trains and semi scale scenery and some scale elements, but it was guys that were, wanting to do a bit of modeling, but keep some of the classic, toy train elements in there too.
Sure.
But at some point I just went, when I think I built my Greenbrook layout is when I decided, no more operating accessories or, oversized, stuff like that, and that's kind of when I went full scale.
That's the thing that amazes me about your layout is I mean, if it was HO or O or N, I mean, it looks it's absolutely.
Oh, thanks.
I highly recommend anybody that's listening to this to go to Norm's YouTube channel and look at this because it'll blow your socks off. It truly, truly will. I went to Chris's trains and things, and one of the videos that he has is the layout of Norm Charbonneau.
Yeah. Those young YouTuber guys are pretty cool because they've been getting together and doing events and hanging out with each other and promoting the hobby in general. They're doing a really good job, I think.
That's what I noticed. That's what I noticed.
Yeah.
Is like that's kind of one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. Is it seems like three rail O scale is like I say, a pretty prosperous community.
Yeah. I mean, if you've seen some of the prices on these engines, it's not a trivial pursuit. Sometimes, it can be pretty expensive.
Yeah, like
well,
this was.
Oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead, Brad.
That was the other thing I was going to ask too, Norm. Are those all commercially bought models? The local, like I'm looking at a Pennsylvania Railroad S1 right now that is just absolutely out of this world, and I did not even know such a thing existed in O scale.
Yeah. Well, that particular engine was made by Lionel, Third Rail, and MTH. That was like the salad days of the modern era. They would all produce the same model within months of each other. In fact, I'm trying to find the Third Rail one they made an unskirted version, and that's the one to really get. That one hardly comes up for sale.
That is a beautiful locomotive, I'll tell you.
Lionel's reissued that with the new legacy controls, and then of course their thing to do lately the past few years is to do fantasy schemes, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but in some ways, if they don't make they make that stuff and they sell more trains, and then they can make money and make more trains, I guess, but I'm not the biggest fan of that stuff.
So your stuff, like, you don't have to like do any painting on your own, or to get your the stuff that you have is for the most part, or even maybe all, is it all just off the shelf, commercially available? Because I had no idea that most of the stuff that I'm seeing on your YouTube channel even existed in O scale.
Yeah, you have to be pretty picky. There's a lot of stuff that was made pretty correctly. Occasionally they'll get a color shade wrong. Their 3-rail O scale is notorious for never getting Pennsy DGLE correct. I mean, they just can't paint the same model, the same shade twice in a row correctly. For some reason, they always kind of revert to like pea soup green for some reason. But
that is a tough color, and I think. But see, I model modern Pennsylvania Railroad and N scale, so I have to paint all my locomotives. But basically, from what I've read, they took a 50-gallon drum of black paint and mixed a couple quarts of green in with it and called it dark green. But I think the confusion comes from the nickname people have for it, which is Brunswick green.
Yeah.
Which DGLE really is not DGLE is much darker than most Brunswick greens that I've seen.
I've talked about that in a few videos too, because I on a couple. Well, one thing they like to do in 3-rail O scale, and keep in mind they've sold some of these same models to the 2-rail O scalers too, or over time. Like 3rd rail would typically make a batch of these engines in 2-rail scale, but they always tended to want to paint the roofs oxide red on a lot of the steamers. So I spent a lot of time trying to get them back to DGLE so I could just weather over it again anyway. But
did you have to do that on that S1, or did it come like that?
No, I believe that S1 was pretty straightforward, and that would have been a pretty okay color green back then. It's kind of weird. Sometimes they would have. 3rd rail generally got it right. Atlas did a little. Most of their stuff was okay. Lionel was hit or miss. A lot of their stuff was very green, but the magic trick for that stuff is good weathering with some grimy black. Always seem to fix any color shade problems. Yeah,
that's just fascinating. It really is.
And your layout is there's like 1,000 questions. I mean, I just drool. I just drool over these.
I watched his rewiring and refixing the Allegheny steam engine, and I was just now. Do you do that for every locomotive that goes on the layout? Do you?
Not to that extent, but every engine starts off like, oh wow, cool, like maybe I'll get a 20-minute video out of this and spare everybody, just get it running, and then I find all this stuff to do, but. As you can see, some of the stuff was built, everything was built so differently too. I think 3rd rail probably used a couple different builders, and their stuff's generally more complicated than Lionel or MTH. And, but what you find is a lot of this stuff was, probably purchased at one time and maybe never ran. So, or got run once and then maybe, something happened and, the original owner boxed it up and forgot about it till they sold it off later, so that's kind of what you're seeing me discover as I get these engines. I try to do like an as found or like an as received kind of run session first and then talk about the issues and plans and then go through it. But yeah, everything always turns out to be more work than I think. So I've been trying to show in these vids.
So at most of these locomotives, then you purchase them at train shows or online or something?
A lot of them word of mouth. Hey Norm, I know you're looking for one of these. I know a guy selling one, so there's a lot of word of mouth. There's quite a few private auction houses on the internet. eBay. I bought a lot of stuff off eBay over the years. Not so much lately. but you never know. Once in a while, you get a deal that's worth getting off there. But yeah, and then word of mouth. York TCA train show. Occasionally, I'll find something pretty good there, like that really rare T4A, that B&O T4A, which was like a ex Boston and Maine, R6 or something like that. I found that at York. That's the kind of stuff you can find there sometimes,
So what is the York TCA train show?
That is a twice yearly show that's like 2.5 days. It's the Eastern Division of the Train Collectors Association. It's basically it's really their local meet that they do twice a year.
So this is in York, Pennsylvania?
Yeah, York, Pennsylvania at the fairgrounds.
Okay.
And, it's probably their most heavily attended show, and it's pretty interesting. I think its peak years, they would have 14,000, maybe north of 14,000
wow.
registrations. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, wow. Brad and Kelly, can I ask you guys a question?
Sure.
Don't you think we should just close this podcast up and forget about it?
I'm
because we're interviewing this guy, and it's a piece of information after information, and I'm sitting here thinking this is like another whole part of the hobby that I knew existed, but not to this extent.
Oh,
yeah. I'm I will just tell, if anybody listening is a fan of Pennsylvania Railroad steam like I am, you got to look at Norm's trains, because I'm seeing some of the rarest birds in Pennsylvania, like Q2s, Q1s.
Oh yeah, we had a really proper N1 made in O scale, and like I said, when these companies were at their probably maybe not their sales number peak, because maybe Lionel now is more prosperous than they were 20 years ago, but 20 years ago there was some amazing stuff being made, stuff you'd never thought you'd see, and that really kind of like late 90s. Into about 2000, maybe 2012 even, there was I think that would have been Third Rail's peak, as far as when I look back on their website. They had a lot of stuff offered that year. And,
you know what I'm thinking, guys? Here's what I'm thinking right off the top of my head. It's a spitballing. I'm just spitballing here. But we should make Norm our three rail expert for the AML Nation.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. Do we need a vote on that? Or?
No, I don't think so. Because
motion carries.
I never even heard of this Third Rail company. So now I'm looking at this.
Yeah. That's Sunset Models, yeah.
Yeah, it's Sunset Models, and I'm looking at this, and it's like they got all kinds of stuff. Like they're a going concern right now. They got Jeep SD7s reserved now.
So they make a lot of ABS plastic diesels with pretty proper drive lines too that you can get in three rail now. So they're doing a center drive, single motor center drive type diesels and stuff like that. And they got a pretty unique drive line too. I always try to show that in my videos. They have that quiet drive system of theirs, which is like a printer belt and cogged pulleys, so they can run the drive line, parallel with a driver or just above the driver centers, so they can, you can get like full boiler shapes out of their steamers. They're really, the innovation in three rail scale was probably overlooked for many years. I think YouTube really helped out a lot by pushing the videos and showing weirdos like me doing stuff with it, And,
I find it interesting because most people, when you say three rail, they think of the Lionel train running around 60 miles an hour, and the toy-like features. And I just looked on the community page of your website, your YouTube page, and I guess it's TM Books did a video, and it was an intro, and I looked at it, and I remember seeing, Lionel stuff with the smoke, and it looked crappy and everything else. And you've got the centipede going down the tracks with steam, or it looks like smoke coming out of the exhaust, and it's amazing. Now, does it sound, when your trains are running, other than the sound that you put in them, does it sound like the typical three rail Lionel running around
like on a tube? Well, I run, Atlas Atlas solid nickel silver tracks. So it's pretty quiet. I run, the larger, heavier scale cars, so they don't have that like hollow sound. Yeah, it's not quite the same experience, but it is O scale, so you get kind of the visual like presence of O scale, which is very satisfying to look upon, and then you get kind of the presence of the motion, it's O scale, full O scale,
wow.
Quarter inch to the foot. The things you get with what was really cool about 3-rail at one time was the tech. I felt, even 20 years ago, I felt the one thing they did right in 3-rail, what made it so appealing was that, all the models were scale. The good ones that I was seeking out, they were ready to run. You could dump them out of the box and run them in 5 minutes flat, but they had really good analog sounds, like captured, field recorded analog sound. They had a really robust and easy to use command control system. And they were really ahead of the curve on all the electronics and the smoke units. If you watch my videos, I'm not a fan of smoke. But they had the puffing smoke, the motor powered fan driven puffing smoke effects. MTH and MTH really pioneered that, and Lionel followed suit. Not my favorite feature in a train because it's so ruinous to the weathering. The paint jobs. I mean, it's oil. It's like
it's oil, right?
Yeah.
How many locomotives do you have on the layout
right now? Too many. I have 2 main lines, and typically there's about, there's 2 trains running, and there's usually the inner main line, the inner line. I have a yard at the front. I usually park a couple engines there. There's a couple switchers on the outer line, and then in the engine yard, I typically have about probably at least 10. So yeah, there's usually there's actually quite a bit on layout right now because I'm in the process of going through some stuff and getting the layout ready for showing it here pretty soon.
Wow!
But
what are you showing? What's coming up that you're showing it?
So we got Traina Pala. So this is organized by some of these YouTubers I was talking about. Like yeah, and that'll be kind of a joint effort with the Detroit 3-railers, which is kind of a round robin club up here in the Detroit area.
Okay.
We have a clubhouse, and that we meet up at on Friday nights, and then we kind of visit each other's layouts throughout the course of the year. So very active, and so that'll be happening next week. So you'll probably see a lot of videos on that starting the end of next week, and.
Is there any kind of a website or anything for Traina Pala?
No, I think just it'll pretty much be on YouTube.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Traina Pala.
Lionel, I have a question for you.
Okay, hang on a minute.
Okay.
Kelly, can you move your microphone a little closer to you?
I haven't said anything.
You've said it plenty.
Okay, how's that?
That's better.
Is that better?
Yeah, it's much better.
All right.
Why is it so far away?
Because I leaned back a little bit.
Well, don't do that.
Well, my back hurts. My back hurts because
then move the microphone with you.
I was thinking of Tillsonburg. My back hurts.
Yeah, well, that's fine, but then move the microphone with you. Tillsonburg. My back still aches. When I hear it now, I got to put that song in.
He says you want to work in the tobacco fields of Tillsonburg. Tillsonburg. My back still aches when I hear that word. Well, he said, I'll only give you $7 a day, but if you're any good, you get a raise in pay. Your bed's already on the bunkhouse floor. If it gets a little chilly, you can close the door in Tillsonburg. Tillsonburg. My back still aches when I hear that word.
How many hobbies do you know of where you can have 3 guys with probably collectively near 150 years of experience in the hobby sitting here floored by what we're seeing right now?
Exactly. That's exactly it. There's so many different arms or branches of this tree. And like you're listening to Norm and he says, yeah, we got our clubhouse and we got this, we got that in the Detroit area and we're doing Traina Pala and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
And you're thinking to yourself, had I not stumbled across his YouTube channel, and I kind of stumbled across some of these other ones too, Like there's a guy named J.D. Stux, I think.
Yeah, that's Jason's O-gauge trains. Yeah.
Yeah, like I want to get him on, but I stumbled across this and I'm thinking to myself, and as we start talking to Norm, there's like this whole world that exists. Like I'd never even heard of the company Third Rail before.
Yeah, I hadn't either.
And and I was just going to say, I think each one of these companies and each one of these people it's like what I said once before. It's like race cars. You know, you go to a town of 30, 40,000 people, you can almost be guaranteed there's 3 or 4 guys in town that have a race car, you know, a local race car or a higher level, blah, blah, blah. And you go to a town of 20, 30,000 people, you're probably going to find 100 model railroaders that are really into it. And some people have great layouts and stuff like this, but it's like these communities are just huge. Like they keep companies going. Like who would have guessed in the year 2024 that Third Rail would be a viable thing, a viable business thing, that there's companies making these things and importing these trains and blah, blah, blah. You know, it floors me. Every time we do one of these kind of interviews, it absolutely floors me.
Definitely. Norm, how big is your layout?
This current layout is it's L-shaped. It's about 29 wide by 36 long. Ooh. And the long part of the L, the main part's about 10.5 foot wide. And
now, is there any place somebody can see the actual layout?
I think on my channel, there's a layout tour that does a pretty okay. I tried to do a kind of a layout overview and talked about the construction of this one and some of the things I went through to get it built. And that probably gives the most comprehensive overview of it. And that would probably be a good intro to my.
So we just got to find out which video that is.
I'm working on it right now.
So Norm, do you have your layout set in a prototypical like setting? Is it modeling? Because I'm looking at some of your structures now, and they're flooring me just as much as your locomotives are.
Yeah, there's structures on there that are based on real buildings in Toledo and Detroit.
Okay.
And yeah, definitely. The one building that isn't on there is it was on my old layout, was the Great Lakes Terminal Warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
And that didn't make it onto this layout. I could never really find a good spot for it. But the Federal Servo building, that's based on part of the C.R. Wilson Carriage Works there in Detroit near Milwaukee Junction. If you've ever seen that building, you could go to like any side of that building, and it has like a different personality for each side of that site. There's so many things you could model just out of that one place. So
did you scratch build most of those structures then?
Yeah, definitely. Most of the background structures are scratch built.
Well, it's too bad Scooter isn't here. I bet
I know.
He's a really good scratch builder too.
Yeah, we got this one of our regular guys. I don't know where he is. Yeah. He didn't even answer the text.
Yeah, if you guys get a chance, check out the videos about the Northbrook shops. I watched it today at work, and I'm going like, holy crap!
Yeah, that was an Altoona Model Works kit. So he'll like kind of configure the kit for you, and then you build it. But he kind of customizes the kit to the way he wants. So I wanted that machine shop kind of lean to off to the side of it.
That and the other one I looked at was the restaurant that you built.
Yeah.
And I was just amazed taking the camera and looking in the window to see all the parts that you had made.
Yeah.
And that corridor with the machinery in the engine house was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Lighting and everything.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
All right. That's it. We're stopping the podcast. Because he just said Altoona Model Works, so I typed that in. And
I was thinking the same thing. I never heard of that one either.
Yeah, and another fantastic layout or manufacturer pops up, and he's an O-scale. He builds O-scale kits.
Yeah.
And then and Norm says, he kind of builds them to whatever you want and blah, blah, blah. And I'm, oh, my God. Like, okay, I'm throwing everything out. I'm going to start O-scale now. Because this stuff
he does other scales, too, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So all your buildings on your layout are all O-scale.
Yeah, they're all O-scale. Some are they're not selectively compressed, but they're small. They've been kind of kind of influenced by Downtown Deco. If you guys,
yes.
So the early 2000s was so cool. If you allow me to reminisce a little bit, like Lionel started making these scale engines. Atlas O comes out with this incredible track product, and then here's Downtown Deco making all these cool, hydrocal buildings, that you could really get into and weather and detail and stuff like that. And I think when I was working on my old layout before this one, that was like put those three elements together, and that really started pushing me permanently into the scale realm of 3-rail, and so a lot of his buildings, they're O-scale, but they're just a really small footprint. They're not selectively compressed or anything like that. They're just they're pretty good because they don't take up a lot of real estate, but they still give you all the nice scenic elements of gritty urban scenes, But
I'm looking at his site now, and I mean, these structures are fantastic.
Oh, they're unbelievable.
Oh my God. That's it. We can't keep going on this podcast. It's ridiculous.
I think this is going to be like
it's like your head's, your head's in a perpetual state of spinning on
yes. And I feel like we're doing a lousy job asking questions because it's like you don't know what question to ask next.
it's
and it's like I'm looking at this one video, and I see the Railway Express Agency. Now, whose kit would that be?
Oh, that long.
Yeah.
That is I think a TWW Trainworks. So that's like that's a pretty nice kit, and I've been wanting to modify that for quite a while. It's been on the layout for a while. I think I took that sign off there because I want to do something else with it, but I haven't decided yet. But yeah, TWW Trainworks, they kind of make stuff out of laser cut MDF. So their buildings are really easy to put together, and they're really like robust too. That thing is pretty sturdy,
There's another website I'd never even heard about.
Yeah, they make quite a bit of stuff, and they might make stuff in other scales too. I don't know, but yeah, they have some nice buildings.
Jesus.
Hey, Lionel.
Yeah.
Question for you.
Yeah.
Is this on the free channel?
It is.
Ooh, okay.
We forgot to say Rapido Trains.
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
Rapido Trains, your fast track to model railroading fun.
Maybe he could make us some stuff, you know. I mean, there's a lot of, over the years, we lost Weaver, K-Line, even the MTH and Atlas O deal. I've been kind of critical of it because Atlas O had an incredible line of what they call master line models that they've seemed to have shelved lately in favor of kind of reissuing some MTH tooling that, I like MTH, but some of that master line tooling, they did the H21A hoppers and the X29 box cars and O-scale, and they're just, for the time being, they seem to be gone. You can't get them anymore.
So I bet when you go to this show in York, you're kind of like looking for everything. You're scouring it. You're scouring every table to see what there is there.
It's not unusual to go there and not really buy much, though. It's just kind of you never know what you'll find. But occasionally you'll find something that really, is a lot of the third rail. The guys don't like it because they think it's fragile. It's the details just fall off on their own, and they don't have a lot of times they won't have any kind of decent electronics in them. So you got to kind of buy them with that in mind too, that you're going to probably put about $200 or $300 worth of electronics in it.
So this was that kit that I was asking you about, that building. Is that originally the Rock Island Freight House, or what they call it?
Yeah. There's quite a few people that have that on their layouts.
That's a beautiful kit.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. I've been watching these tabletop laser cutters and these tabletop like CNC router machines. They're kind of in the same vein of affordable 3D printing. I've been thinking about getting one, so I could start making larger structures like that.
That's a beautiful kit. If you buy it as a kit, it's $380. If you buy it built and painted with lighting, it's $957.
Oh wow!
Wow.
Oh.
Hey, Lionel, that layout tour is on his video. It's called My 3-Rail O-Scale Layout Tour. And there's actually a plan in the video.
My 3-rail
O-Scale Layout Tour.
Yeah. I describe what 3-rail O-Scale is too a little bit on there too versus high rail or.
Yeah.
How when was it? How many years ago was it?
3 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, probably 3 years ago. Yeah.
I'll keep looking. So why?
Go on.
So why did you know what? Let's just do it again. Repeato trains.
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
If it's N, if it's H-O, the fast track is Rapido.
Are you picking up on that, Brad?
Yeah, I'm picking up on it.
Okay. In case, so you're the third man.
Yeah.
If Bruce isn't here and Kelly's not here, and you are here,
I'm like the 44-year-old goalie that gets pulled in off the street.
There you go. You're the Zamboni driver.
Okay. All right. I've always wanted to do that. By the way,
There you go. Okay.
Lionel, you may not want to watch that video. I'm just right now. I feel like getting out of the hobby because it's just.
I know that's exactly what. That's a great way of saying it. You're just thinking you're just like drooling over this stuff, thinking, "How did this happen?" So why did you start a YouTube channel, Norm?
Well, I had that channel for a long time. I think I just when gosh, but it was even around for 7-8 years before I started using it. I just had some videos I wanted to host on the forum somewhere.
I think your videos 12 years. I think on your videos.
OGR forum. In fact, I just put some clips up on there, and I thought, wow, it's a nice way to host video. You could share, you could link it into a forum post, and then over the years, I deleted a bunch, and people were commenting like, "Hey, what happened to this video? I was trying to find it," and I felt bad, so I try to when I put up a video now, I'm like, yeah, I'll never delete this because people actually notice that, because I had all these older videos that weren't like really good quality, but the Plenum guy there, I gave him a bunch of old videos, access to my older videos, because he asked if he could do a thing on my layout. And I said, if you could use these old videos and maybe upscale them somehow, you're welcome to them, because I don't really care, so that you can see a lot of older footage and see how my tastes have changed. But yeah.
And I see in this one video, my 3-rail O-Scale layout tour, which, like you say, Bruce, is enough to make you quit.
Oh, I don't know about the panoramic views of this layout room. It's just unbelievable.
Right. So it looks like you painted your ceiling black.
Yeah.
That wasn't too hard of a job, I bet.
It's like one of the worst things I've ever done in a basement.
But it really. Oh,
was that? What did you paint it hand like brush and roller?
Well, after I did that, somebody told me, hey, they make this dry fall paint specifically for that. What I did was there was a lot of creative masking and hanging of, tarps and stuff like that. But I got like a Harbor Freight HVLP sprayer and a Home Depot Glidden flat black latex in the can, which I've used for years for all kinds of stuff on my layout. But I sprayed sections at a time and, duct taped all the vents and still made a tremendous mess. And
this was done after the layout was built, or
no,
before the layout? Before the layout.
Just before. In fact, I had gotten the basement kind of drywalled and I had a bunch of insulated and got a lot of the walls kind of rearranged in preparation for the layout. And then, I did the ceilings, did my lighting, wiring, and prepped it for all the track lighting and stuff like that, and then started in on the layout. The thing I did after the layout, which was only a few years ago, was I repainted the backdrop a few times, with a layout kind of in a current form, because I wanted to add clouds and stuff like that. Yeah, I wish I would have done that before.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it would be a massive job to do afterwards. Some of these structures, like the houses and things like that, are they scratch built?
Most of them are, yeah. Most of the freestanding ones. There's a couple kits in there. there's just a couple kits, but most of them are scratch built on my layout right now. So a lot of the structures came from my old layout, and as time goes on, I slowly go back and move things around or replace them.
So how old is this layout now, that the one we're looking at?
This one, I would have started this probably about 10 years ago, I'd say.
Holy moly!
Yeah.
10 years.
Yeah. So,
are you ready to quit now, Brad?
I'm completely on information overload. This is unbelievable. I had no clue that that there was, like, with O scale 3 rail was anywhere near this cool. This is just awesome.
Yeah.
Is it Norm, have you been in any of the magazines?
Yeah. In fact, it was my first chance at being in a magazine was O scale trains.
Okay. Yeah.
Predominantly a 2-rail magazine, and then OGR, Classic Toy Trains, and then I did the Lionel Nation videos with TM Books.
Right.
And then I think I filmed with them guys like 3 times, and
so
yeah.
I know this is I'm not asking the question very well, but try to, and I'm assuming you listen to all of our podcasts and some of them twice, so you're already used to that. But
I listen to quite a few though on my road trips for work. Yeah.
There you go. The level of modeling that you've achieved is, to me, upper echelon. So
definitely.
So regardless of whether you're embarrassed by me saying that, the thing that I'm really intrigued on is, and try to help me, guys, get this question out if you can. What I'm really intrigued about is, how did you know that this is what you were supposed to do to achieve such a beautiful layout? Like, did you, is this strictly from magazines and seeing there's Franklin in South Manchester and saying to yourself, I want it to look like that. I want it to look that good?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was like pretty much a series of accidents, I guess, that got me to this point. But seeing those magazines as a teenager, it's always in the back of your mind. But it was kind of really influenced too. Early 2000s, like I said, you go from being an eclectic toy train guy, kind of.
Yeah.
Where me and my friends were all kind of immersed in the 3-rail hobby at the time, and it's changing very rapidly, and you start to realize, you get some pretty nice scale models for reasonable cost, and with all the other stuff available, you can build
right. But I mean, like, you look at the structures and the scenery and the weathering. Yeah, it's all like was there a structure or a car that you weathered or a locomotive that you weathered where you kind of, because I remember when I was building my layout, I had this set of F units that I built, painted in the black and yellow, and I did the weathering on them and everything, and suddenly I thought to myself, geez, I think I've got this. I think I figured it out. And I'm wondering, like, was there a particular structure or something where you kind of went, wait a minute, that's it. Now I've got it. This is what it's supposed to be like.
I think on my the layout before this one, about the second or third wave into it, when I was going through and replacing some of the structures I built first, I sort of started to realize that I could probably build the same model 3 or 4 times and try to make it better each time.
Right.
And that I think that became a factor, if that's what you mean. So I can't remember what particular piece, but structure-wise, it would probably be my Great Lakes Terminal Warehouse, which isn't on this layout right now. Probably the engine that I really liked was my Lionel Pennsy J1A Texas, I think. It was one of my first. There was a layout up here, the HockeyTown Union Station, which is a really large 2-rail O-scale layout up in Commerce Township. It's a display layout. You can go visit, pay admission and see it. And 2-rail O-scale, they were running, I don't know if it was a West Side Brass J1A, and it was weathered. And it was going around the layout. And I was like, man, that looks really cool. I mean, that engine just sits right on the track. It looks like it belongs in its environment. And, I have a J1A at home. And I think I'm going to go weather it when I, in the next few days, but yeah.
So what did you say? What did you say that layout was?
Chi-Town Union Station. I believe it's Commerce Township. Not very. Yeah.
Oh man.
Chi-Town.
Yeah.
What did you call it? Chi-Town Union.
Chi-Town Union Station. Yeah.
Are you sure? Are you sure you want to go there?
No,
That's what I was going to say.
yeah.
That is So there's the Holly layout too. The O-scale layout up there. So Michigan actually has such a good O-scale scene in general. I mean, because we had P&D hobby here, you know. So I think part of the journey into 3-rail scale was Wild Bill's was a really popular Lionel MTH dealer here in Michigan for many years. And, you know, you would get the best deals on trains. He bought, you know, he was like a direct Lionel dealer. He bought, you know, he got their trains right off the dock, you know. And I made many trips up there to pick up engines I ordered or just to see what was coming in. And I would stop at P&D on the way up there, you know, and I'd buy like a bottle of Grimy Black, you know, or Railroad Tie Brown. So we have a really good 2-rail O-scale scene, that's for sure.
So
And,
it says here that the Chi-Town Union Station property is for sale.
Is it?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're on the market. That'd be a bummer because this is
That's a
fantastic.
good layout. Yeah, that's a really good advertisement for the way 2-rail O-scale trains run. The trains run so well there. They pull like 100-car trains there too. So I recommend any 3-railer go check that out too. And
I'd recommend any model railroader go check it out.
yeah,
it's on the. Geez, we should track these guys down and get them on here before they change their minds. Like, holy mackerel! I wonder maybe guys are just running out of guys to be members or something.
No, it's the guy that I'm looking at the video right now that they took it. Apparently, it's owned by one person.
Oh, okay.
And he's probably wanting to retire.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, it's like comparing apples to oranges when you put the two of them next to each other.
What?
I mean, Norm's is just like it's art. It's a piece of art. I mean, it really is a piece of art.
Yeah, Norm's in a whole different. He's the final frontier.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I don't know about that.
Yes.
Well, I'm fascinated, Norm, because it's like when people go to your YouTube channel and see this, they're going to be their socks are going to be absolutely blown off. Now, and I've always believed that being a model railroader is a form of art. It's an art form. And, you know, like people have different abilities and different levels of abilities to create art. And you obviously are somebody that has a very high ability to create art because, I mean, it's done so well. It looks so real. Like I guess I would say, who cares that it's 3-rail? You know, like
that's you know, you don't see any higher quality modeling than that, in my opinion. And whether it's 2-rail, 3-rail, what's any scale, that's just very well done, Norm.
Well, thanks, you guys.
And so for the structures, for the brick structures, do you buy your raw material? Like if you are scratch building a brick structure, regardless of the size, do you buy how do you buy your raw materials?
Yeah, we could blame P&D for that. So I was thinking about when I moved to Michigan and I was checking out Detroit. You know, we were always we'd always go into Detroit to check out the old buildings and stuff, you know. And I was like, man, how can I, you know, I needed to make building fronts for my layout. I thought, you know, there's some good inspiration here. And my trips to P&D, I noticed they had quite a nice selection of Plastruct, and they had Plastruct O-scale rough brick sheets, you know. So I've always used that a lot. That's in a lot of my buildings.
And Plastruct still exists, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
The two companies are in the same address too. Evergreen and Plastruct.
Okay.
Yeah, so a lot of that stuff, a lot of basswood and balsa, you know, and a lot of my buildings are foam core. Some of the a lot of the flats are actually black foam core. There was do you remember? Are they still around? I haven't looked in a long time. HORailroad.com. There was many years ago.
I'm afraid. I'm afraid to look.
Yeah,
I can't do it.
No.
There was a
All I want to do is run into my workshop and get out my spray gun and start weathering stuff.
Yeah.
Well, he had a tutorial on how to build structures out of foam core, and it was just, hey, this is a really nice, easy to work with. So a lot of my structures are foam core overlaid with Plastruct and material like that. Midwest clapboard. This was all the stuff at P&D. I would go and I would just start looking around, and they had Midwest. I think it was 1/8 clapboard, and I'm like, man, you can make sheds and shacks with this stuff, and so I always have some of that in my shop. And
oh God,
but yeah, that was pretty cool. So
Lionel, did you finish the layout tour?
No, I keep going.
When you're finished the layout tour, go to 10K subs appreciation run. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I have tears in my eyes right now because it's so realistic. It is just unbelievable.
So I went to this. I put in clapboard. What did I type in? I typed in clapboard siding, I guess, or something.
Yeah.
And it comes up to this Art Depot, and Art Depot has all kinds of balsa wood sheets and wood strips.
Yeah.
Scale lumber and
the stuff I used to buy. I have some right here. It was a Midwest basswood clapboard siding, 1/8 spacing, 3-inch by 24 inches long. I used to buy these at P&D Hobby. The sticker's still on here for $2.79. So every time I'd go in there, I'd grab a fistful of these.
Yeah.
I'd grab some more Plastruct brick. I've always stocked my shop so I can build at will if I have to. And
sure, yeah. We got to get you and Scooter together. I don't know where Scooter is. He didn't even answer my text.
Yeah, I just tried to text him a couple minutes ago, and I haven't heard back. So
yeah, no. So he's probably lost. He's lost his phone again or something.
He's at the beach.
I think the other stuff to look for, if you're looking for brick sheet, was JTT. I think
I'm not looking for it. You're just irritating the crap out of me now.
It's all out there.
Oh, Norm, you've reached that threshold.
Yeah, this.
If you go to this Art Depot, it's Art Depot, DEPOT, CR, C and then an R.net. That's their home thing. And then over at Scale Model, they got aluminum sheets and tubing, brass rods, tubing, copper sheets, landscape rocks. I'm going to look at that. What's that? Yeah, they got all kinds of stuff. I've never even heard of this place.
So the next thing I'd like to try is now that I've gotten into 3D printing, resin and FDM here is like I said, this like kind of like CNC router stuff,
Oh.
And you can get these, they're basically like tabletop machines, and they sell them to a lot of crafters and stuff, you can.
A lot of people, everybody's doing 3D printing now.
But now they're gotten really cheap, and I was kind of envisioning, just using MDF. I use a lot of MDF in my structures.
Yeah.
And
wow.
You could either laser or CNC this stuff, and make larger structures.
So P&D trains are long gone, right?
They just closed up, I think, a year and a half ago. They finally closed up. Yeah. Yeah, that was a source of a lot of the.
Yeah, that was a great shop. I was there a couple of times because I'm not that far from Detroit. I'm 4.5. I'm like 4 hours from Detroit.
That's where I used to get all my Katie couplers too. And,
yeah, exactly. And you put Katie couplers on all your cars and your locomotives.
Yeah.
Again, that's unusual for 3-rail O-scale.
Yeah. Yeah, even Lionel has started making a lot of their scale engines with Katie mounts, which I give him a lot of credit for because it seems like, I'm definitly like, a minority within 3-rail for the time being.
For sure, yeah. But the community is so big. Hey, when P&D, hey, Bruce?
Yes.
When Kelly?
I know.
Yeah, I know.
I'm answering it the way you.
Okay. Yeah. You shouldn't have answered. You should have just stayed silent.
Oh, okay.
And waited until I said Kelly.
Yeah, but Bruce is not here, so I know that you're not talking to Bruce.
Yeah, I know, but then loses it. Then it loses its magic.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
I'm sorry, Brad. Brad, I know you're listening to this right now, and
he's comatose. He's comatose.
I am.
No, but right now he's walking around the block or something, and he's listening to it, and I apologize, Brad,
he's
because
thinking about getting out of teeth.
Yeah, right now, yeah.
It's like.
But anyways, that P&D Trains. I wonder if they sold any Rapido trains.
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
Rapido Trains, your fast track to model railroading fun.
Guess we'll never know now that they're closed. So, anyways, Norm, Rapido Trains is the official sponsor of the AML Network, so that's why we got to say it.
I wonder if you could get him to look at us crazies in 3-rail O scale. You know what we need is cabooses. They make all these, $1,800 articulated steam locomotives, but they won't even make a caboose to pull behind. It's maddening. I rail about that on all my videos, so I have to go and ruin perfectly viable 2-rail O scale models to run on my 3-rail layout.
So, Norm, what are the Chronicles of Norm? Because
those were I was trying to condense these, instead of making 3-part videos, I was trying to get them trying to do them so I could just do maybe a 20-30 minute video at the most, okay. And which I've failed miserably at. All my videos end up 40 minutes.
No, you haven't failed. You have not failed. That Mercer Avenue Cafe one, Norm 26, is unbelievable.
Oh, cool. I'm glad you like it. That was...
the thing about Norm's videos is we've talked about this before, there's a whole lot of people making videos that shouldn't be making videos, and they're clogging up the highway. Yeah. But Norm's videos are like Drayton Blackgroves or Distant Signal. They're such high quality, you can sit and just watch the video for 30 or 40 minutes and be quite entertained. Which
and he also his voice and his description of what he's doing and what's happening in front of you is eloquent. It's not. Yeah. It doesn't. His voice doesn't grate you.
Yeah,
that's good to know. Thanks.
And I'm learning a lot from it. So,
seeing as how Kelly opened the door, I'll jive right in. It doesn't grate on you like Kelly's does.
I love it.
High hanging curveball.
I know that one's gone. That one's that's 20 rows up in the bleachers.
I mean, he's 3D printing floors, and walls. I mean, that's just unbelievable.
And I'm not like a 3D printer hobbyist guy either. I'm not really modifying my 3D printers, and I'm not, doing it to 3D print. I'm doing it they're just tools now in my shop. And I try to show people that, you could get these things and you're going to make a bunch of garbage with them at first, but then it's going to slowly start to click, or actually pretty quickly. And, they're very helpful tools for model railroading. And right now they're so cheap. And I've got I think, my FDM printer was $220, and my resin printer was $240, and I think the one that I'm running, the two machines I have now, I think you can buy them for $120 a piece now. So
you got two machines?
Yeah, I have the FDM printer, so that's for making the Katy mounts and things and the board mounts and some structural stuff, internal stuff.
That's a filament printer.
Yeah, filament printer. So using the spool of I use mostly PLA on here, and then I got the resin printer for making more of the detail parts, like the interior details and stuff.
You make all your structures.
The stove and the hot and the grill. Oh my god!
Or a lot of the litter he has around the different structures that's on the ground. The ground litter is that's really what makes a scene. Yeah. I'm going to start building stuff again. I've been thinking about that the last 4 or 5 weeks. I've been thinking to myself, because I'm having. I can't be as mobile as I was before. And I was because kind of my workshop ended up turning into my podcasting studio. And I thought, I gotta get rid of this podcasting stuff out of here and get back to just building models.
You got to have somewhere to run your O-gauge diesels or
Yeah,
S-scale,
well, yeah,
yeah.
I gotta do that too.
Yeah.
Is that what you think you're going to do? An S-scale layout or small shelf? I remember you talked about
If
that
if I do anything, that's the first thing I got to do is S scale. Is it like a minimum 2 foot by 10 foot, S scale layout or something like that? My biggest.
Are you going to have? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, never mind. You don't want to listen to what I got to say.
Yeah, I do. I'm very interested.
You know what my biggest problem is when I think about building a layout, or even a 2 foot by 10 foot layout, is my whole layout concept was I had the fascia was about 10 inches to 12 inches deep. And, that's where I'd put the track diagrams and all that stuff. And I just can't wrap my head around building a 2 foot by 10 foot shelf layout with a thin fascia or a narrow fascia. And somehow I got to get my head wrapped around that, because that's where we'd go, because you just don't need it. While I'm saying it, sitting here saying it, I'm looking at staging yards that only have like about a 6-inch fascia on it. So.
I was just going to ask, if you do it, are you going to have Scooter build you a structure?
No, because I was talking to somebody else. I don't think it was on the podcast. I think I was just talking to somebody. And I said, oh, yeah, I was talking to Dave. No, I was talking to somebody else. And I said, hey, we got to get Scooter to build. Oh, yeah, it was Dave. No, it wasn't. Somebody else. And I said, hey, yeah, I got to get Scooter to build you. And they go, oh, yeah, I've already talked to him. He says he's going to do it. I'm thinking to myself, when is he going to do any of this stuff?
Yeah.
He's so friggin' slow trying to get individual projects done. And now he's not even answering our texts. It's just like, come on, Scooter, get your head out of your ass, man. Come on.
we miss you, Scooter.
Yeah,
we miss you.
I never said that. How did you do that?
Kelly and I did.
Okay.
Yeah, we did.
How did you, on my 3-rail O-scale layout tour, how did you do this thing near the end, about the 6 minute and 30-second mark? You did this thing where you're looking down on the layout, and it's. Do you remember that?
Oh, that like 3D scan of the layout.
Yeah.
So I get the I do all my videos editing on an iPad Pro, and the one I got, it was like the first one that had that LiDAR on there. So it was some LiDAR app that you could scan objects, and then that site hosts it for you, And I haven't tried it since. I'd imagine they improved it, but yeah, I thought that was kind of neat. Like the more time you took scanning, the more it would build a file, and I'd imagine that's probably improved upon lately, and I could probably do it with my with my iPhone.
So this is all done with an iPad Pro.
Yeah, when they added that LiDAR scanner to these, for improving the AI for the photos.
So before my brain explodes, I'm understanding this correctly. You are basically taking a scan that's creating a 3D file mesh. Is that what you're doing? Oh my God!
I think I put in the description of that video. I put a link to the site. Let me see if I could find it.
And you can do that with an iPad now.
Yeah. You've been able to do that for a while. There was I think you could do it with the iPhone, probably starting with the 13, maybe. I don't know.
Holy cow! Oh, so it's an iPhone. I'm wondering.
No. He said iPad, but it's also he's saying iPhone.
Okay. There's the iPad.
I know, Brad. I've told this story before, but I was a BlackBerry guy, and then we were in Cleveland. I was actually taking my wife to the Cleveland Clinic for her hips, and we went to a Cleveland Browns game the day before, and I'm sitting behind these two guys. So this is like just after the iPhone came out, maybe a year or two after of the iPhone, the second. And I'm sitting behind these two guys, and this guy takes his iPhone and takes a panoramic shot of the entire stadium.
Wow.
And I lean over and I go, "Excuse me," and he's showing his buddy, and I said, "Excuse me, did you just take a panoramic shot of the whole stadium?" He says, "Yeah, see." And I'm looking at this, and I turn to my wife and I go, "Yeah, when we get home, I'm buying an iPhone." that was the last we ever saw of my BlackBerry. Like, holy.
Yeah, that link is still active in that video description, and you can actually go to this site, this Polycam or whatever, and you can actually see my full layout. It looked, it's kind of funny looking, but
Yeah.
what I like about this stuff, what I like about all this tech, it's like kind of benevolent or something lately. It's like it's good tech. You know what I mean? It's not like evil or nothing.
Yeah,
it's not being used for like, I don't know, whatever.
Well, I know
but,
that's like people complain about Facebook, and my favorite story about that is I worked with a guy at Railroad. Pretty much the only job I ever had was working for the Canadian National for a couple of years until I realized I didn't take orders really well, and everybody that I worked for realized I didn't take orders really well. And but I worked with this guy Harold. We called him Shotgun Harold, and I hadn't seen him for like 35 years. And then one day I'm standing at the stove, and all of a sudden my phone, I get a message, and it's from this guy, from my buddy Harold that I hadn't seen for 35 years, and we reconnected, and we had lunch together, and he had pretty bad cancer, and we got to spend some time together. So I'm like, I don't care what people complain about Facebook. I got to do some really cool things because of it. Social media can be a pain in the butt. Computers can be a pain in the butt, but at the end of the day, the pluses far outweigh the minuses.
Well, none of what we're doing right now would be possible without the internet. So
exactly.
That just, to me, that's enough. That's enough good right there to make me want to keep using it.
This is my second home run of the game. Yeah, sure. Right now, I got to listen to you two guys while this wouldn't be possible. I wouldn't be sitting here listening to you.
So what you're saying, the relief pitcher came in, and instead of throwing some high heat through another slow curve.
Yeah. This one went into the right field stands about 10 rows up.
Oh, you went to the opposite field, did you?
Yeah, exactly. What's the height of your layout?
What is that? 42
I asked you first.
Yeah. I think it's about 42 inch, I want to say.
And do you remember why you built it like that? Did you have any particular?
Well, it's pretty good height for the. I felt for the basement. The ceilings are. This house was built in the 80s, so they're not like 10-foot ceilings.
Okay.
I think I got 8.5 foot, and It seemed to fit, and I'm short anyway, so I thought the height was pretty good for me. I think I built my old layout to 42 inch also, so that's the basic deck height of the whole thing.
How tall of a man are you?
Oh, I'm short. I'm French Canadian, half
that's true,
Portuguese. So so I'm screwed. Half Portuguese, so I'm really
well, okay.
short.
Let me ask you this question. You've never met Brad except for on this podcast. How tall does he sound?
I don't know.
Doesn't he sound like he's like 6'2" or something?
Possibly.
Yeah, because that's what I thought, 6'2", 6'3", and then I met him, and he's like barely came up to my knees.
They're really mean to short people on the internet. I don't know why. It's like
they are on this podcast too, Norm.
I'm used to it though. I made it this far.
There you go.
What's your favorite part of model railroading?
Well, honestly, it's the whole thing, like standing back and seeing your layout, because a lot of it encompasses stuff I've always been interested in as a little kid. Always was attracted to like old stuff, old pictures, old industrial stuff. I think just the fact that this hobby encompasses so many different like disciplines, approaches, and you've got the history. I think it's the whole thing. Like I would do this hobby no matter what, even if I didn't do 3-rail scale, I'd do it in some other scale.
Sure. Except not N scale though. You wouldn't do N scale.
I don't know if I do N scale again. It is pretty cool.
There's a lot of strange people in N scale too.
I had a nice N scale layout at one time. My dad gave it away. Just like, I was like, Dad, I was going to come get it. It was like a 2x4 foot layout, and it wasn't built terribly differently from the layout I have now. I've always been kind of a loop builder for some reason, but he kind of gave it away. I was a little ticked off about that.
So do you do any kind of operations on this particular layout, or is it?
No, I got to admit, man, I just like to run my trains in circles. If you notice in my videos, I go through great lengths to make sure my trains run well. And
Yeah.
and I really like to show people that I'm not just throwing down the transformer handle and letting the train rail into the curve as fast as it can. I could do a little switching. I do occasionally.
Sure.
But yeah, no.
Primarily,
this
you like
layout was never built.
Yeah, primarily
like
it's a display layout, and you like to have it running while you're down there working and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I could run 2 trains at the same time. I could fool around with a switcher, on that front track, and that front track goes right into the engine yard. I can move engines around while a couple other trains are just cruising. But yeah,
how many?
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
With all the attention that ops gets, and ops operations is awesome, but I think that's becoming kind of a somewhat overlooked area of the hobby that, in my experience, a lot of people do enjoy. I mean, ops are awesome. I love doing that, but it is also sometimes fun to just sit in the middle of your layout room and have a few trains running around through the scenery.
Have a couple beers. I love the noise bath, and it's in my industry, I can work in some pretty noisy environments, and I come home and I turn on the trains.
It's a relaxing sound, though. It's a very relaxing sound.
I really enjoy the sounds, and if you listen to me talk about some of the vintage electronics I seek out, it's because I'm a fan of some of the old sound systems they were using 20-something years ago now.
So what do you mean by that? Like sound under the layout, not on the
I mean the onboard sound on these locomotives. So that the Lionel electronics. I don't know if you guys know the story of Lionel. Was it's kind of like an odd couple story or something. But Neil Young, the famous Canadian rock and roller, kind of befriended Richard Kuhn, who owned Lionel at the time in the 90s, with an idea for this command control system that he wanted to market with Lionel, and that's how Lionel kind of got into using Trainmaster command control, but also they had really incredible sounds starting in the late 90s. Their rail sounds were analog captured sounds, and they were encoded for playback for trains, like really decent audio quality. And I always show on the Lionel stuff that the era of electronics I kind of seek out, they had really good audio because it was like really good sound files they use. Not all of them were very prototypically correct, though. They took some liberties with that, but the playback was incredible. I mean, they have these overbuilt power supplies and stuff like that.
Yeah, like I'm looking at about 1 minute and 40 seconds. There's a part of your layout tour. There shows the power supply part. So what is it's like there's a black transformer and a blue and a black transformer and a blue. What is this command system? What is it? How does it work?
So that's there are 2 command systems on my layout. They're both Lionel's. That was a Trainmaster command. So that would be the black box that's on the far left. Okay, and that was kind of the track interface. So it took the commands from the handheld remote, the cab one, and then it would put it onto the rail. So that's what that unit's doing. It also had a RS-232 retransmit on there, that little 9-pin D sub on there. And the units next to it are some transformers. I think I'm running the 135 watt transformers. They're just 18 volt AC. And the kind of the blue units are the track power controllers, what Lionel calls power masters. So that's how you apply power to the track using the.
This command control is kind of like it's hands free at the. It's DC.
It's Lionel's.
It's DC, right?
No, 3 rail trains are AC powered. My particular layout, since it's command control, it's 18 volts AC to the track. I got about 7.5 amps available for power. Typically, I have the track turned all the way up to 18 volts, and the way Lionel's system worked was they kind of use the track as a transmit antenna to the engine, and the engines have antennas inside them to pick up the signal, and then it's decoded through their it's all their proprietary stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff that Lion Tech was a company that Neil set up, and they're people probably far more familiar with the history than I am. But that's
Neil Young was a huge fan of model railroading.
Yeah. It was because of his son.
Yeah,
his special needs son. That's why he came with the idea.
Yeah, and the beauty of that system, why I still to this day use it, and you might see the Cab One in the videos occasionally. It was a really simple interface that did a lot more than you realize. I mean, number one is really robust. It was easy to use. It was easy to set up an engine. You literally put an engine on the track, applied power. If you wanted to change the engine ID, there's a little switch. You'd put it in program mode. You dial up engine 12, hit set. Put it back to run mode, and you're running engine 12 now. And you could access the sounds. It was a fully kind of integrated system that not only could you control trains, but you could also control the whole layout as a full layout control system. So you could apply power to the track. You could, control accessories, switches, things like that.
I had a really good. Oh yeah, let's talk about. So you're not that far from where the 2025 NMRA National Convention is going to be, and you're going to be on the tour. You're going to be on the tour.
Yes,
right?
Yes, I will be. Yeah. Looking forward to that. I think I'm going to do. There's a fall meet here. I'm going to be involved in that too, I believe. So working on that.
Well, like you're coming up to, you mean this year?
Yeah.
In 2024.
That's
Traina Palooza or something you said.
Well, that's Traina Palooza, but NMRA's local
meet is
chapter here. Yeah, they have a local meet. I think in October, and trying to work out that date. I think it's like October.
Now, do you belong to the NMRA?
No, I do not. I'll probably join them after here pretty shortly, I think.
Yeah.
Cool. They seem to have a guy named Ron King. I hang out with these guys called the Rail Rats. They're a bunch of O-scale 2-rail modelers. There's some reformed 3-rail scale guys in that group too that have moved on to HO scale, but they're kind of a round robin group I hang out with too. And Ron King kind of told his friends at the NMRA, says, "Hey, you should come check out this guy's layout in Northville and see what he's up to." So I had Jake Wallman come over to see it, and looking forward to being involved.
That's cool.
So,
that's going to be so I highly recommend anybody that's going to the NMRA National Convention, and why wouldn't you? In 2025 in the Michigan is they call it Novi, but in actual fact it's a suburb of Detroit.
Yeah.
Go Red Wings.
Are you planning on going to that, or don't you know yet?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Why do you need to know?
Well, if you're going, I might go.
Well, if you're going,
guys are welcome to come by. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you're going, then I'll go.
Okay.
I'll probably go.
Yeah. I get it.
I didn't have a great day today, and today was an employee meeting, and I'm like hobbling around, and I'm thinking, come on, fix this stupid thing, will you? So, anyways, So, anyways, I highly recommend that anybody that goes to the NMRA National Convention in 2025 on one of the layout tours will be Norm's trains. Norm Charbonneau, who plays right wing for was a right winger for the Montreal Canadiens in the early 2000s.
Okay.
We're just making this up now. Just go with me. He was a solid two-way player. 200-foot guy. Usually got 20, 22 goals a season. Guy you could count on. Anyways, his layout's going to be open, and I highly recommend everybody go to it. You did it. The other thing I'm looking at is I love what you do. You did a lot of basement. I'm a big believer in making the basement area as clean and neat as possible, and your floor is painted probably with an epoxy paint. It looks like. No,
I wish. If I had to do it again, I would have done epoxy. It's latex. So I when I did the layouts basement space, it was kind of with the idea that it was going to be kind of minimalist, almost like studio style, but still pretty comfy to check out the layout. So I have seating areas, and I can move stuff around. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. I'm a huge believer in layout space being as nice as it possibly can. you know, my wife found this house. This house is really cool because it's got a great room upstairs. So the center beam in the basement is offset a ways. It's not right down the middle. So all my, you know, columns are a bit offset. So that's how I could build a layout 10.5 foot wide and still, you know, be able to walk the whole front of it, you know? Yeah. The only thing I regret is I probably should have did it right from the beginning, was probably go around the walls through, you know, the whole basement. But I really wanted a workshop. I have a pretty nice workshop, and the scale of the projects I work on, O scale, you can make such a tremendous mess, and I'd hate to give up my workshop space.
Right. Well, and I think I'm a big believer in, if you make the layout not too terribly big, it gives you a chance to actually get it completed to the state.
Yeah.
Like your layout looks fully complete, you know?
Yeah.
Definitely. Wow.
It's easy. It's fairly easy to maintain too, you know, I mean,
and you know, he's had plenty of time, guys. He's been working on it for 10 years. Jesus. In 10 years, I'd have like the fascia done.
Yes. So Norm, just tell me if you can.
Move that microphone back towards your mouth.
I'm sorry. I got to move me.
Oh my God.
I know. Hey,
when you move them. I'm sorry, Norm. I apologize for this. I'm sorry you had to be part of it.
So how old are you, Norm?
Oh, I'm 54.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, pretty old.
We're just about the same age.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got exposed to trains in the 70s when like nobody else was really into them, but you know, we had cool toys in the 70s, but my train was
there's something I'm sorry, I cut you off. Carry on.
Oh no, that's all right. Yeah. That was my favorite thing.
Yeah, that was really rude of me to do that. I'm still no good at it. 10 years we've been doing this podcast and we're still no good at it.
Here, I'll play the role of Scooter. That was rude.
I wonder if Scooter got eaten by an alligator or something.
Yeah.
I hope not.
Yeah, that'd be a bummer.
Yeah.
I was going to say something. I can't remember what it was. Anyways, I wonder, you know what, Kelly?
Yes.
Wouldn't it be cool if someday Rapido Trains,
your fast track to model railroading fun?
If it's N, if it's H-O, the fast track is Rapido.
You paint your track and everything. Just fantastic. This is absolutely the most fantastic 3-rail O-scale layout I've ever seen in my life.
Definitely.
I actually painted all that track with some vintage Floquil Rail Brown, which I'm nursing one last bottle of, and then I overspray it with grimy black. So,
and you have videos about how to do weathering. I'm telling you, if you're a model railroader of any kind, you got to go to Norm's Trains on YouTube because there are videos about everything.
Yeah,
I showed my struggles too. Like I was just a lot of dusting lately with my dull coat, and
that's really important, though. I think to show when you know pitfalls that people can fall into and mistakes that can be made. People learn a lot from from their mistakes or others' mistakes if they're willing to share.
I showed my compressor exploding on one. I think it was the Y6 video. That compressor just decided to blow up.
That's fun for the whole family, right there.
Yeah, that's down home fun right there. The old compressor exploding. I was talking about compressors today to my buddy, Steve, the T-shirt guy, because he was saying he's going to get a tire pumper upper, and I said, just get yourself a small DeWalt compressor. I got one at both places, and it's like, man, you don't use it all the time, but when you need a compressor to inflate your lawn garden tractor or your bicycle tires or a car or your football or your tire on your car, it's like, man, having a compressor is the handiest thing you could have.
It sure is. Speaking of Steve, the T-shirt guy, I did have a question for you. What do you think of having like sleeveless shirts done for the AML? Wouldn't that be cool to have sleeveless?
Well, we can do that, sure. Or do you have a pair of scissors?
I'd screw it up. You know that.
I'd turn that job over to Missy if I was you.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, I look at this here. I like this one from a year ago. Here's one called The Chronicles of Norm, Redding Up for the Rail Rats. I like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I just watched
show you how I take care of my layout. I'm actually going through that again right now because I'm getting it ready for Traina Palooza and then I've got some other visitors in August, and then possibly October again. And I'll probably have the D3R guys and the Rail Rats back, probably November, December timeframe, I hope. So depending on my work schedule and stuff like that.
There it is. Traina Palooza, O-Scale Train Gathering, JD
Stocks. Yeah.
So this is
those
all,
guys.
so he's in the Detroit area as well then.
Yeah, he's over in Royal Oak area. Yeah.
Okay,
Detroit must be like a hotbed for O-Scale.
It is
model railroading.
And I think that's how I got really, really into trains too. When I moved here early 2000s, there was so much going on. Lionel was here too, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Only occasionally though. Well, you mean the manufacturer?
Yeah, they were here, and you had Wild Bills, and then the D3R guys got together. But yeah, there was a lot going on, especially when I first moved here. It was really cool, and then to kind of be around Detroit too was really inspirational for the the industrial scenery that I try to model on my layout now.
Detroit is a great town.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to get JD Stux on here now. Now I can say, hey, I talked to Norm, and
he said it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
I'm going to try to get him hooked up with Jay Qualman too. See if we can get him on the layout tour for the national next.
Absolutely, yeah. He's got to be on the layout tour for sure.
So yeah, definitely.
All right, that's it. How do you think your first podcast went, Norm?
Well, I hope you guys liked it. It was fun. Yeah.
I absolutely loved it. Even in I'm gonna have to make something to make my head stop spinning. But man, alive, that was really, really interesting and really cool stuff.
Now we have to decompress. So I'm quitting the hobby altogether now.
I'm going to join a 12-step program.
Let's take up knitting or something.
Yeah, exactly. I'll do a knitting podcast.
I'm going to give up hobbies altogether. It's too much.
There's too much cool stuff. Then you run into a guy like Norm, and you're thinking, "Hey, that's cool. Hey, that's cool. Hey, that's cool."
Jeez.
Oh man. What was your latest purchase, Norm?
Well, I think that was that my latest, the Allegheny? I've got more stuff coming. I've got another third rail M1B coming. I might do Blue Nami on that.
Wow.
Might be a Blue Nami candidate.
Yeah, I think you
do have a lot in common with Scooter. He just installed a Blue Nami and something recently.
I'd like to try it. Yeah.
Scooter, where are you?
There's a couple young guys on YouTube that use Blue Nami in their 3-rail engines. I think Sid's Trains did one. He does some more of the tech-oriented train pursuits, and I think he was one of the early pioneers of Blue Nami in a 3-rail engine. And so, yeah, I might try that. I'm really impressed with their sound right now, and the fact that you can get a real proper set of Pennsylvania whistles,
Yeah, and that's my buddy George Bogatuk. He's not only is he the guy over there at the main sales guy, the face of Soundtracks. He's also one of my hockey buddies that we talk back and forth all the time about hockey. Hockey.
Cool.
That's
I got to try one of those.
If you're from Quebec, that's how you say hockey. Hockey. All right, that's it. Okay, so we got to give out our email address. Hey, Kelly, can you give out our email address?
Oh, jeez. I got the 2 L's. I just don't have a 1 L.
Pennsylvania.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Okay. If you want to reach us through the magic of email, you can reach us at modelerslife@gmail.com. That's modelers with 1 L like Pennsylvania, not 2 L's like Allegheny.
Boom.
Nice.
That was a stand-up double.
Yeah.
That was a beauty. Kick saving a beauty. And if you missed that email address, and I don't know how you could, but if you did, if you go to our website, amodelerslife.com, and scroll down, you'll see a picture of the moderately agitated mailboy in a particularly agitated state. And you just click on that picture, and boom, the address comes up ready to go, and all you got to do is fill in your text. Norm, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Have you ever wanted a T-shirt with a hot dog on it?
What? I don't know why.
No. Because. So no, you haven't? Is that a no? You've never wanted?
My mind, but
Well, Well, Norm, let me tell you, if you ever do decide you want a T-shirt with a hot dog on it, if you go to Midwest Model Railroad and their URL is midwestmodelrr.com, and you scroll across the navigation bar to other and click on that drop-down menu, you'll see the AML shop. And in there, boom, you click on that, there's like a wonderland of AML merchandise, hats, hoodies, T-shirts, mugs, whatever you could possibly need. And in there, you'll find a T-shirt with a hot dog on it.
I like this hat.
Yeah. There you go.
I love the way you say "other" when you're doing
other, like as in I'm annoyed because it's other.
Yes,
we used to be right on the navigation bar, and then we were put into other.
Yeah, there is like a if you scroll down a little further though, there is like a neat picture.
Yeah, but it's below the screen. You have to scroll down. Mm-hmm. You know, there is a direct link farther down the page. You should, you know what, Brad, you can help me remember that on a regular basis.
All right.
Yeah. So if you ever want a T-shirt with a hot dog on it, there's the place to go.
Okay.
And if you enjoyed this podcast, if any of you out there are listening and you enjoyed this podcast and you'd like twice as much AML podcasting a week, if you click on our Patreon link for just a few cents a day, you can have twice as much podcasting, because on Tuesday we have a podcast too, but that's on our paid channel. But it's a little more down home, a little more homey, a little more less censored, a little more direct. It's just different. It's different. It's a completely different. We have fireside chats. We answer viewer mail. We just do all kinds of cool things on that channel. And this will be exciting for you, Norm, to hear this. If you go to the T-shirt level on the Patreon channel, you can enter this new game show that is sweeping the globe called "Hey Dude, Where's My Shirt?" Because everybody that's on the $10 level gets, every year they get a T-shirt that only Patreon members can have. But the problem there is the guy that's in charge of getting out the T-shirts is kind of useless. So it's kind of it's a slow process. Hence the game show, "Hey Dude, Where's My Shirt?"
But we do have an Australian division.
That works very well.
Distribution center. Yeah.
I was messaging with our buddy Nigel Gartshore today, and we're getting everything all straightened around. So yeah, most of the shirts have been delivered, and blah blah blah. So that's cool. So yeah, it's absolutely, you can hear about it. You hear about it on the nightly news. "Hey dude, where's my shirt?"
It's like bigger than Jeopardy now, as far as like game shows are concerned. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. And also now there's all these. I won't be able to get up from the computer for a while because I got to look at all these different. The Art Depot has tons and tons and tons of stuff you can use for. I never even knew this. That's the thing. Every time you interview somebody, oh look, there's something else we can do. Oh look, there's something else we can do.
Oh man,
scenic sand. They have. The Art Depot has scenic sand.
Really?
Yeah. And they also have scaled trees. Look at that. They have landscape miniature art. Look at that. You have scaled trees. Hot diggity dog. Assorted palm trees. Eco pine trees. Wow. Everything. Well, that's it. So, Norm, we've got one thing we need you to do.
What's that? At
the appropriate moment, we need you to say "Happy Rails" to you. Now, the key to this is there's no singing, there's no dancing, there's no interpretation of any kind. It's just simply say with enthusiasm, "Happy Rails" to you.
Okay.
All right, can you handle that?
I can.
All right.
Is somebody gonna give me a cue or something?
Yeah. Well, you'll get a cue.
All right.
Well, Norm, as we close the barn doors on another episode of A Modeler's Life, and the sun slowly sets over the back 40, I guess there's nothing else left to do except for you to say,
"Happy Rails" to you.
While in Busted Knuckle, guests of a Modeler's Life podcast stay at the Casa del Sol Motor Court and Inn, where late night dancing at the Rumba Room is a magical event to be experienced.
It's another Lincoln Homer.
Can you say it faster?
I messed that up.
Well, it was okay. But when you're on the next time you're on, well, and you'll have to be not quite as fast.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. Don't be sorry.
Oh.
It was an excellent effort. I thought it was a great effort. Didn't you, Brad?
Yes.
He didn't sing. He didn't sing. He didn't dance. He did.
Yeah.
There was no interpretation. It was